Water. Yo, I've been a long time Danganronpa fan, and I wasn't gonna make a whole channel just to do Nada or Zilch, you know? But now that a new Danganronpa game is coming out, and I'm actually a part of the fandom while the game is, like in the making, I have to come up with some predictions. So I basically made a channel just so I could prove that I would be right. In my opinion, not even debatable, really, but I think the main character is going to be Hajime because, one, Nagito still wakes us up like we're in some kind of BL.
Are you okay? You seem pretty out of it.
He also objects to Mahiro in one of the debates in the Danganronpa 2x2 trailer.
Contradictions and counter opponents to reveal the truth.
As for the supports, I think there are 4 potential candidates. Chiaki Nanami, Byakuya Togami, aka the Ultimate Imposter, Mahiro Koizumi, and Peko Pekoyama. I will go into all of them as I discuss some of the trials. The first victim is, drumroll, Fuyuhiko Kuzuryu! Oh, I sounded too happy saying that. Okay. This makes the most sense, as he was a survivor and we've already, witnessed his development. And I think that Peko's development would actually be more interesting than Fuyuhiko's, because, she's someone that undervalues her life, and as the viewer, if we get to see her beginning to befriend other people and actually, having some agency in her life, and not only her life, but also maybe the plot, it would be rewarding to the player. In the original, which is how I will be referring to Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, I don't believe that she and Fuyuhiko made their relationship, obvious. Though I did not freshen up on the original, so if I'm wrong... This gives her room to talk to Hajime, and so when she witnesses her master's death, then she would be the primary person to solve the case. Hopefully you can see my vision. I will not try to even discuss how the Blackened may have killed the victim, because knowing Spike Chunsoft, they always make trials so needlessly complicated, from Trigger Happy Havoc to V3, so that's not my responsibility. And because I think motives play a lot into the murders, and the motives are going to be all different this time around, I would rather die than try to come up with another seesaw or meat bone on the... I chose Nekomaru Nidai. So, for him, it's not even oh, he doesn't like Fuyuhiko kind of thing. I don't even know if they had any beef, because Nekomaru, he's a beefy guy, but he doesn't get into the beef. There's a lot of potential that the other students can offer compared to Nekomaru. I also feel like he's received a lot of screen time, because he survived to chapter 4, and he had that whole, robot junk going on, okay? I recall seeing the character popularity polls in Japan for Nekomaru, or just for all the characters, and Nekomaru was literally at the bottom for every single one. So, sorry to that one Nekomaru fan that exists on planet Earth, but not everyone wants to hear him talk about shit. For trial 2, call me crazy, I think the victim is Hajime Hinata.
You need to leave!
If people already predicted this in their theories or prediction videos, then damn it. Just know I thought of it first. And I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, oh, you made a whole case of 2 reasons on why Hajime Hinata is the protagonist, and now you're going to say that he's not. And to that I say you're wrong and you're right. Because although I do think he starts off the game as the protagonist, I think that they're going to do a point of view switch, and the new main character will be someone that he was close to. So first off, I think that this has to happen because the woman got a score, okay? I want to play a strong, independent woman in society, and Ultra Despair Girls doesn't count because nobody cares about that game. And Kaede died, so that definitely doesn't count. So, if Spike Chunsoft has any balls, they're going to pull a Kaede, but in the second trial as the victim. This way, the person acting as Hajime's sidekick can investigate the case, and we actually get to see it from their perspective, which I think would be hella sick and super hot fire. Similarly to Nekomaru, for like the reason I chose him, I'm choosing Okane Owari as the Chapter 2 Blackened. I chose her because she's a survivor, obviously, you know, and because she was originally meant to be the villain. So if you didn't know, in the beginning stages of this game's development, I think, I'm not sure, she was meant to be the villain because her last name is Owari, which means end in Japanese, and Hajime's last name, which is Hinata, means beginning in Japanese. She was supposed to have what Nagito's role was, but that didn't happen, and so I think it'd be kind of symbolic if it, like, lined up like this in, you know, the second trial, and she was the one who ended up killing Hajime. Okay, now onto chapter 3. Hold on, Hajime fucking died. I will now discuss potential main characters and sidekicks. First off, I have Peko Pekayama because of the reasons I discussed, and I think her development would be like extremely satisfying to the player to like witness, and she wouldn't act as like a self-insert character like Makoto Naegi. I think she's the type of person who would like put her foot down, even if it meant like disagreeing with like the actual player, you know? She gets to actually develop a personality outside of the person that's behind the screen. Next would be Chiaki Nanami. I think she's already likable, and she has excellent like leadership skills and intellect. And I think it could be interesting to see, you know, what she's thinking and basically see a reenactment of her leadership that was only shown in the anime. And we could also expand on her relationship with Monami and even relation with Chihiro. And last is Mahiro Koizumi. She is competent and quick to call out bull. And even though I said those things about wanting her to be the protagonist or having the potential to be the protagonist, I actually think she's the least likely. This is because the other candidates are better, and I see, you know, her and Hiyoko actually fulfilling an arc together. Not to say that she can't do it as the protagonist, but I will expand on this later on. So those are my points, but I believe that Hajime's sidekicks were Chiaki and Byakuya, and now Chiaki is going to be the new protagonist, and Byakuya and Peko are her sidekicks. Alright! The victims are Teruteru Hanamura because nobody likes him, and he has to be alive for at least 2 chapters since he was a chapter 1 Blackened in the original, and Sonia Nevermind because she's, again, a survivor, and I can't think of something else she can offer other than
Bow down!
However, I think the craziest part of this theory is that the Blackened would be Kazuichi Soda. And yes, I am glazing myself. First off, I would believe that he would kill because he has high Blackened potential, such as being impulsive and having high reactivity. But I think that he would kill, like, as an accident, and he would kill Teruteru accidentally because of his Talon's nature. Because I've heard somewhere that Danganronpa 2 has, like, every case has to do with, like, an ultimate talent, you know? I don't know if that would continue onto Danganronpa 2x2, but if it does, then this is a good way to do it. Following this accident, I think Sonia would actually witness this, and so with a broken heart, he would have to murder her as well. And I don't know if this would spark any, like, development in Kazuichi, but I think it'd be interesting to see his dynamic between, or see the dynamic between him and Gundam. You can see from this that I fell into the camp of people that believe Trial 3 will have 2 victims like the other games. However, what if the entire scenario I just described isn't what I actually think would happen? Nani? So now, okay, most of it's actually accurate, but I think that Nagito is actually the person who kills Sonia. So that's why I believe that he doesn't play a part as anyone's sidekick, because I think he'll be more like outrightly antagonistic. And he kind of was so in his plan of like being the chapter 1 Blackened in the original. And I think this is doable because some of the most missed potential was actually in chapter 3 of Danganronpa V3, where they made it clear that the trial to be held would be like the one for the blackened who killed first, or the victim whose body was found first. And so I believe that Kazuichi must have either killed first or Teruteru was found first, and so Nagito's kill would not result in a trial. And I think he would have done it for the same reasons as the original, Nagito, because he wanted to encourage hope, or who knows, something else, okay? But I just think it'd be mighty interesting if the cast had to live with a person they knew actually like committed murder, which is kind of not really saying anything for like people like Ultimate Assassin, Ultimate like Mafia person, whatever Fuyuhiko's talent was, since they already know that they've murdered a bunch of people. But I think seeing it in front of their eyes actually happening, and knowing that they'd have to live with, someone that committed murder, especially the players. Anyways, the reason why I dismissed Mahiru Koizumi as a potential protagonist or sidekick is because I had her as the victim for chapter 3. Because even though I personally really like her, I think her death would probably fulfill many fans' wishes because it would allow for a full character arc for, Hiyoko Saionji. This is also enhanced by my pick for the blackened, which is Mikan Sumiki. And this is a little odd because the reasoning I used for Akane and Nekomaru don't apply here. Because she, in the original, she was the blackened for chapter 3. And so if I had her as a blackened for chapter 4, she'd only survive one more trial, and she's still a blackened. I think Hiyoko would continue picking on Mikan, and she would only soften and become more compassionate as her bond with Mahiru deepens. And so when Mahiru dies because of Mikan, you'd expect Hiyoko to be cruel and furious, and I don't doubt that she would be, she'd obviously be both of those things. But I think she would also come to understand Mikan. I think she'd not understand, but I think she would be more empathetic towards Mikan and her reasons. This is on the basis that Mikan kills for some sensible motive and not some dumb despair disease. Then they can also redo the worst execution they've ever had the displeasure of making. Now onto the last trial. There are actually 2 possible actions. Oh, options. But I have my pick. The first is that the victor and killer are one and the same, like Sakura. And I think this person could potentially be the ultimate imposter. So for this character, I was imagining for him to be like the dad of the group, kind of. But by doing so, he also lets go of his persona of Byakuya and actually forms his own identity. And I think he'd become so attached to the group that his death in Trial 5 will be for a self-sacrificial reason and for the betterment of the group. And the second possibility, I think that kind of falls in line with this, will be that Nagito will be the victim. And I think the motives will remain the same. Byakuya would be the murderer, but he'd kill for a sacrificial, self-sacrificial reason, He'd do so for the betterment of the group. And I think it would also work out because Nagito, like I said, I think he'll be more outrightly antagonistic. And I have some gripes about leaving Nagito alive, because even though I really want Hajime to die, 10 years, and if they don't do anything creative, it's this is just a cash grab. So I have some gripes about leaving Nagito alive for, this long, because, 1, people really like his dynamic with Hajime, so if he dies, it's literally non-existent. 2, he's already survived to chapter 5 in the original, so if he dies, same way, or not same way, but same time and as the same role as the victim, then it'd be a little... 3, what else can he offer that is different than revealing the remnants of despair in chapters 4 to 5? Because you also have to think about, the upcoming climax of the end of the game. And I think having Nagito alive for this long doesn't do anything for the story. And so, because I can recognize that, I can make an alternate hypothesis. I can see Akane being the one to kill Fuyuhiko during trial 1, and then Nagito actually killing Hajime, leaving Nekomaru as a survivor. Though I still prefer my chain of events. So my survivors include Chiaki, Peko, Hiyoko, Ibuki, and Gundam. So Chiaki's the protagonist, and they don't have the balls to kill two protagonists because that would literally just not be beneficial in the long run. And Peko and Hiyoko, because they have their finished arcs, you know? And Gundam for the same reason, if he's acquainted with Sonya at all, and also because he's comedic relief, and then Ibuki because she's comedic relief, and because I am biased. Thank you for listening to my rants, and if I'm right, then just remember that I'm pretty cool for that. And if the protagonist ends up not being a girl, I will crash into Spike Chunsoft's offices.